What's up, guys? Welcome to the Ben and Walker Movie Show. I'm your co host, Ben Davis, joined by my other co host, Walker Holt, and we're excited to have a conversation with you about one of our least favorite things, not our favorite things, but one of our least favorite things in the world, rent money due to Mr. Dinkovich. Walker, do you have my rent?
I will next week. Do you have Andy Dwyer on hand?
I do not have Andy Dwyer on hand, unfortunately. I wish, you know what? Hold up. I think I do. He's right here. He's right here. He's right here. For those of you who are not aware, that's a little inside joke because today we are joined by our buddy Will. How's it going, man? You haven't been on here in a long time since that last time I think you were on here. We recorded that wonderful legendary episode that unfortunately no one will ever get to listen to.
Yeah, Vision Quest will live forever in our hearts. I'm doing fantastic. Really stoked you invited me to come talk about Spider-Man 2 because I haven't seen this movie in so long, and it was such a great excuse to dig back into it. And now I'm afraid all my free time will be taken up by rewatching a bunch of old comic book movies that I've not seen in a while. So thank you.
It does that, man. It does that to you. Um, if this is your first time being here with us today, guys, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and also give us a follow over on our socials at Ben and Walker Movie Show, so you can stay up to date with all the latest content that we have for you guys, especially this week where we will be doing a fan voted movie little tournament for you guys for the month of July. So that'll be fun. So pay attention to our story on Instagram for that. Also, just in case I forget to mention it, if you are watching on YouTube, please comment down in the comment section down below to let us know your thoughts on today's show, especially because we're talking about a classic in Spider-Man 2. But jumping into our main conversation of the day and the reason you all likely clicked on the video, we are here to discuss Spider-Man 2, a film of which on the day we are recording this, on June 30th, is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Can you guys believe it?
Is it really? Today's the day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Today's the day.
It's very cool.
Today is the day. Spider-Man 2 is directed by the great Sam Raimi and stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Molina, Rosemary Harris, Donna Murphy, Elizabeth Banks, and J.K. Simmons. The great J.K. Simmons. I'll throw that before his name as well. If you aren't familiar with Spider-Man 2, the plot synopsis reads like such according to Google. When failed nuclear fusion experiment results in an explosion that kills his wife, Dr. Otto Octavius is transformed into Dr. Octopus, a cyborg with deadly metal tentacles. Doc Ock blames Spider-Man for his accident and seeks revenge. Meanwhile, Spider-Man's alter ego, Peter, faces fading powers and self-doubt. Complicating matters are his best friend's hatred for Spider-Man and his true love, sudden engagement to another man. Look, going and trying to discuss a movie like this that means so much to people from our generation, it's a big ask. So I'll just start with asking this. Where were you guys in 2004 as comic book fans, but also as comic book movie fans?
Yeah. So I definitely say for me, I can't claim to have been like a comic book kid, but I was definitely a superhero kid, right?
Yep.
So I had a ton of hand-me-down action figures from my brother. Go to the movies to see, the original Spider-Man. I remember going to see Spider-Man 2. I think we caught a matinee because my brother paid with his, high school side job money. So saving the buck there.
Nice.
But definitely had all the toys, would watch the Saturday morning cartoons, Batman animated series.
Classic.
Yeah, just I wouldn't say I lived and breathed it, but it was definitely a massive staple in my childhood, and that extended to these movies as well.
Yeah. What about you, Walker?
Yeah, almost the exact same. I mean, I think life to date, I've only read 3 or 4 comic books in my life, and I think they're all been Star Wars, and it's just kind of like trying to complete a collection or something. I mean, I never read comic books as a kid, and never really even had interest in it. But like Will, I did like superheroes. I liked Batman a lot. I had a lot of Batman toys. Um, Spider Man was probably my number two. I watched some cartoons, but that's about the line of it. I mean, I didn't have a lot of experience. Now I did. I mean, Spider Man came out, the first one, and you were going to see that movie. You know, you got to see that movie, and I very much
First
enjoyed
movie
the
to
movie.
gross $100 million in one weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for sure going to see that movie, and I did, and I enjoyed it, and but that's about the extent of my. And still to this day, I'm a Marvel fan, an MCU fan, but that's about my the stretch of my comic book
That's
knowledge and
fair.
expertise.
Yeah, I'm much like you, Will, in the sense that I didn't grow up like a comic book kid, but I grew up watching the animated shows. So Batman the animated series, Spider Man the animated series, X Men, Superman, and Silver Surfer was another one that I watched. And it was that love plus the movies that kind of grew into the movie space, right? So you had like the old Batman movies, the old Superman movies, and then really you had this this 1 2 3 moment of Blade coming out in '98, and then in 2000 X-Men, and then in 2002 you had Spider-Man, and it was really around that like 2002 2003 4 range where I started to get into comic books, because there was this Toy Biz, which I think is owned by Hasbro now, um, would release this series of figures, which I still think exists, which is Marvel Legends, and they used to come with comic books. So I would get the figure and I would read the comic book, and that kind of was what gave me, the difference between, or told me the difference between like Marvel comics and DC comics and that kind of thing. So this is kind of the birth of me really like coming up and crafting my own opinions when it comes to comic book characters, Marvel and DC. Which ones do I like? Which ones am I not that big a fan of? And it also kind of coincides with me starting to kind of come up with my own opinions on movies, and come up with like my top 10 lists of the year and that sort of thing. So this is kind of I've always been a movie fan and always been a superhero fan, but this is really when I started to become a comic book fan as well as a movie fan. And I just mentioned like that killer's row of that 1 2 3 punch of movies where you have Blade and X-Men and Spider-Man. Those really kicked off what I call like the silver age of comic book movies. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that age between like '98 and 2007 before we get, Iron Man and The Dark Knight in 2008?
That's funny. The Silver Age. I haven't. That's funny to call it that. I feel pretty heavily nostalgic about it. There's some ups and downs in terms of quality for sure, but I enjoy them for the most part. All collections, in terms of X Men, Blade, and Spider Man. Is anything else in there? Is there an old Hulk in there or anything like that?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
there
the
was
Eric Bana Hulk
yeah, Ang Lee Hulk,
snuck in there.
Daredevil, Elektra, Ghost Rider,
Yeah,
We
there's
don't have to talk
Fantastic
about those. We
Four.
don't want
there's
to.
definitely some ups and downs in terms of the ones I like more than others, but I'm nostalgic about the period. It's a simpler time that it didn't have to be taken so seriously and connected and everything like that like it is now. Just a fun blockbuster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I definitely feel like talk about ups and downs with it. I remember, I mean, as a kid, I had no level of critique. I was just like, yeah, X-Men. I don't care. I don't care. Hulk, yeah, he's got a bit of a baby face. I'm not one to judge. So like, we're just Hulk smash. That's what I came to the movies for. But
Hulk
definitely some of
gloves.
the Hulk. I did have some
Right,
The Hulk
Yeah, me
smashing
too.
fists or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, you think about those old X-Men movies, these Spider-Man movies. Some of them I haven't watched. Like maybe I've seen X2 semi recently. I haven't seen the original X-Men or The Last Stand or the other two Raimi Spider-Man movies in so long. And after watching Spider-Man 2, I'm like, I doubt the other ones hold up as well, but I hope they do. um, but I will admit though, the Spider-Man 3, that was also the edge of a little. I think that was my first in theater cringe with some of that. So props to
Didn't
Raimi
like
for
Bully
bringing.
Maguire?
It was more like the camera pan to hip thrusts scene that kind of did it for me.
Did you?
Yeah,
This is not what I signed up for. Yeah.
not at all. This is too that crossed the line.
Yeah. You crossed the fucking line, man.
Like
Yeah.
10 years old, that's where I draw the line.
um, you know, I look back at this period, much like you, Walker, with some nostalgia and some fondness, but there was some ups and downs to it, right? Like, you know, I would say Blade, it was a modest success, but it became a really big fan favorite. X-Men was a financial success, but it was also critically praised at the time. And then Spider-Man was this juggernaut. I think it was the highest grossing movie of 2002, beating out a Star Wars movie, a Lord of the Rings movie, and a Harry Potter movie. Like it was a juggernaut. And I think it was that movie that really showed Hollywood, like, hey, these movies can be not just good superhero fodder, but can also be treated seriously and taken seriously. And while there's still some swings and some misses, we mentioned a couple. I think there's a lot of movies within this time frame. A lot of the DNA in these movies is what created the movies that we got in like '08 and on that are great. Um, and I look back at this period where I think this is the period where people really found the groove to make excellent superhero films. I think this is where they found the groove, because before that you had the Donner Superman movies, or the Donner Superman movie, um, and then you also had Tim Burton's Batman '89, which a lot of people love. But the other ones, success to varying degrees. It was really those two were the shining examples, and then after that, you had a lot more, I think. And speaking of a lot more, you know, we just kind of talked about some of those movies. Where would Spider-Man 2 rank amongst all those films from that era for you guys? I know you said you hadn't seen a couple of them, Will, but
Well, a lot of them I've seen, but it's been so
years,
long.
yeah.
It's been so long. But putting myself kind of back in that mindset, like it definitely wasn't like I got DVDs for all these movies, but like they pop on. I saw them in the theaters and then they come on TV. But the ones I did were like Spider-Man 1 and 2, X-Men 1 and 2. I think I had the Hulk on DVD. But I mean, Spider-Man 2 was the one that I probably watched dozens of times. And I
Yeah.
think just thinking back in terms of the frequency with which I defaulted to that, rose colored glasses, that was probably my favorite at the time. And just having, rewatched it now so recently, like I just find it'd be hard to pick another from the era that would probably, I mean, Blade's up there too, but just like having staying power and holding up so well, both in how it's made and kind of the story it tells. So it's if it's not the top, it's pretty damn near.
Yeah. What about you, Walker?
Um, yeah, when I first saw it, it's gonna be, it was awesome. I mean, the I think probably at the time the first Spider-Man was like the movie for me, and it remained the movie after this. But I mean, it didn't even matter. Like it was just like I was probably watching them both every time I watched them anyway. And like, I mean, I definitely had these two on DVD. These two, I mean, I don't think I saw X-Men. I don't think I saw any of them until a little later. I'd probably seen Blade, but I thought that was cool. But Spider-Man was just kind of a game changer in the way it looked, and I mean, it was just an incredible movie, and especially for a theater experience. So yeah, I mean, it was high. I mean, I think I liked Spider-Man 1, and I feel Spider-Man 1 has been, and this will kind of cross over into the later conversation, but I think it's kind of the most memorable for me and has the most like, um, when I think of Raimi Spider Mans, I'm thinking of one most of the time, but two is
Yeah.
right there in terms of quality and visuals and everything else.
I think for me, if I had to make a Mount Rushmore from this era, I think I would go. it's tough between without ranking them. If I were to rank them, it would be tough, but I think it would be Spider-Man 2, Batman Begins, Spider-Man, and X2. I think those four films are really kind of the gold standard. Not saying that there isn't any that I don't, enjoy still in that era. I just don't think those other films, do what those four films I mentioned do. Spider-Man 2 is near the. I think it's a tit for tat between Batman Begins and Spider-Man 2 for the best of that era,
Mm.
because both of them are so great, very different tonally, but also great by themselves.
Yeah.
But I think those two would be the the gold standard. But if we're making a Mount Rushmore, it would be Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Batman Begins, and X2. Um, but what were your guys' thoughts on Spider-Man 2 when you left the theater for the first time?
Oh, man, it was sick.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, everything about it was cool. Doc Ock was cool. Spider Man was cool. The visuals were great. I mean, I at the time I probably thought it was the best thing ever made.
Melted your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I was 12 to 14 years old between the first two, and I think I saw it. I mean, it was definitely a packed out theater when I saw it, and I think one time I even saw it like for some reason with school. Like I think maybe we were on some sort of field trip, and like the entire class went. I don't even know. That doesn't. It's a weird, vague memory that's floating in and out, but it was awesome.
Nice.
Mind blown is probably the best description. I remember, like I said, my brother took me to a matinee. We drove like 25, 30 minutes to Wilson, to the nearest theater, to go see a matinee on a Saturday. And like, he's like, we're gonna get popcorn and everything. I'm like, we're getting popcorn. Yeah, we're gonna do all this. And dude, just an amazing experience. Like I love the movie. I haven't even mentioned this yet, but like I ended up, for Christmas, like I wanted the Spider-Man 2 game for
Oh,
That
Xbox.
dude, the
game. That
games were
game.
sick.
Yeah, because
Oh,
that was the first one where like you could run, like get on the city streets, and you wouldn't just like gray out the screen. You went too low, so you could run around, like deliver pizzas,
Yeah.
pizza time
mm-hmm.
music.
You could free time as much as you want, like just swing wherever you wanted, go on
Yeah,
the train, go to the Statue of Liberty, hitch a ride on the helicopter if you wanted
yeah,
to.
and it
Like,
was just like it's those core memories of both the movie and the game together, and like the cinematics that were in the game ripped from the
mm-hmm.
movie, and just like I think it's such a pairing in my mind that like I said, from the moment I left that theater, I was just like Spider-Man 2. Ask for the game. I want the DVD when it comes out. I would have gone to see it again if that had been feasible. Like, yeah,
DVD's right there, man.
yeah.
Still got it from '04. Wrong Spider-Man sitting there though. It's Andrew Garfield. He's the
I
goat.
won't.
Though.
Not my
Yeah,
He's the goat.
well, questionable. That's a
Is that a
interesting
questionable
take.
take?
That's a questionable take.
He's my favorite. I love him.
Okay.
But they're all great though. They're all great. But yeah, I think for me when I first saw this, like Spider-Man, the first one was awesome. Like I loved it so much. This one was probably my most anticipated movie of 2004. I remember this was back in the early days of the internet, not too early, but still early enough to where like if you watched a trailer online, it was still kind of the little square box, like it was tiny. You had to download Real Player or something like that to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Watched it all the time on there, and I have this core memory of I went to Barton basketball camp, and then it came out on a Wednesday, and we got home that afternoon, and my dad was off work, and he's like, all right, what are the show times for Spider-Man 2? We're gonna go see Spider-Man 2 tonight, because it was like a whole family thing. We went together as a family, and it was the first time I remember sitting in a movie and feeling like this movie has some like real emotion to it. In a superhero movie, it's not. I mean, there had been some emotion in Spider-Man 1, but it's different in this one for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But I loved it. Much like you guys, it blew my mind. And that train sequence was freaking awesome, which we'll absolutely talk about more, I'm sure. But Watching it now, guys, what do you think about it? And on top of that, what do you think about the legacy that it has left behind for the Spider-Man series as a whole, all of them?
I think it just set the pace for any future adaptations, right?
Yeah,
Um, like they're all compared across, but anytime a new Spider-Man is cast, you compare back to these Spider-Man movies, and like how much justice they do to the character. And obviously, there's updates, adapt changes, and interpretation and whatnot. But I just think like you mentioned this silver age of comic book movies, kind of doing the lead up to the massive overhaul and run up that came with Iron Man and the Dark Knight in '08.
yeah,
But like you said, this laid the foundation. Going back, like there are really no rose-colored glasses about it. It's a great movie,
yeah,
and like I said, I think it just stands as a point of comparison, and that says a lot to kind of the staying power it has.
yeah.
Yeah,
Fully agree.
I agree 100%. I think I haven't seen it. I saw it. I watched all the Spider-Man movies, or between Toby, Andrew, and Tom, like 2 years ago, maybe.
Leading up to No Way Home.
Maybe before No Way Home, I watched them all again. Yeah, I did because I wanted to experience the crossover fully. Um, it's unbelievable how well it holds up, both this and the first one. I mean, it's. I mean, I throw out a couple movies. I should mention this one more because some of the bullshit we see today. I mean, when I mean, I always bring up Jurassic Park as something that's like that was 1993 and it looks incredible still. And then I should bring up Spider Man all the time now. So, I mean, we're obviously 20 years today. Um, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I this movie, much like you said, Will, it set the bar so unbelievably high that even its sequel tried to couldn't do it. I have grown a little bit softer to Spider-Man 3, having rewatched it a couple years ago, um, for No Way Home, like you did, Walker. And I have some appreciation for it. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, but this movie set the bar so unbelievably high that even other Spider-Man movies, it's hard to follow. It
Mhm.
really is hard to follow. It's like trying to follow in the Dark Knight's footsteps. It's like it's it's almost you can't touch it. You can't grab that brass ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's very very hard. And rewatching it, like I rewatched it a couple years ago, and I still loved it, but rewatching it and really diving deep and taking notes and everything for this movie, my Spider-Man rankings when it comes to all of them, ranking them all together, it's so hard to do. Like obviously Spider-Man No Way Home is probably still number one, not because the story is there's obviously some holes in it, but it's such a love letter to the character of Spider-Man and to all three interpretations. It's very hard to top that. But from a story standpoint, Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 are like neck and neck for that number 2 spot for me. This movie is it's its themes are what makes it so strong. And its heart is what makes it so strong. It's so sincere and so earnest, but it doesn't ever once feel so overly goofy that you're just like, oh, this is cringy. It's just so sweet and timeless. It feels like you could pop this movie on to a 70-year-old and like a 5-year-old and they would understand it and get it because Spider-Man is this blue collar working class superhero that we can all relate to, and the struggles especially in this movie that he deals with trying to balance his own personal life, what he wants, what he needs, plus trying to live up to this promise to Uncle Ben that he made, because he feels some sort of still some a lot of guilt for what happened with Uncle Ben. And this movie really dives deep into what it means to truly be a hero. Is it's hard, and when you have to do the right thing, and sometimes when you do the right thing, you're not always going to be praised for it. You might be hated, and you might lose out on a lot of things, but a hero doesn't make the easy decisions. They make the tough decisions, even if you have to sacrifice the things that you want the most. And I think that's why this movie holds up so many years later is you could pop it on anytime, any place, anywhere. People are going to understand it. They're going to relate to it. They're going to get it. They're going to love it. And I think that's why this movie holds up.
Your nephews and nieces call you Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
You drop any strong, powerful, life-changing one-liners on them at any point?
No, not yet. Not yet. They're barking up the wrong tree if they're looking for that. No. My two of my nieces call me Unky B.
That's what
And
Peter used
then
to
my
call
yeah, and then my
him. Unky
nephews
B
call me
says with
Uncle.
great.
With great power comes great movies. Remember that. Yeah,
Aunt May, Unky B
that's gonna
was
be my
shot
slogan.
because of me.
Oh God! Don't wish that on me. Don't wish that on me. Yeah. I hear those jokes all the time. But yeah, man, I think that's why this movie holds up so much. And you know, not only do we still feel this way about it, critics obviously love this movie. It has a 93% currently in Rotten Tomatoes, with the consensus being boasting an entertaining villain and a deeper emotional focus. This is a nimble sequel that improves upon the original. Do you guys agree with the score? Yes, no, maybe so.
I'm pretty close. I came out with an 85.
Well, all right. I didn't write a number down at the end of my viewing the other day, but I definitely think it deserves that 93. What you said, Ben, the thing that makes a movie like this stand the test of time, even with some dated visual effects and whatnot, it's just like the thematic elements of it that kind of just translate across 20 years since it released. And just such a good job of both weaving them into each other and transitioning from one to the next while still having a fun to watch movie that, like, as a kid, like, I didn't have to really sit there and do a psychoanalysis of the struggle
Yeah,
of Peter Parker, and I could just enjoy a comic book movie. And it's hard to hit the multiple layers on that successfully.
yeah. This movie really does a good job balancing tone in a way that appeals to a lot of people. It does what Richard Donner tried to do with the Superman movie in '78, and I think this perfects it. And not to talk about a different movie while we're on here, speaking of Superman, it's the exact same tone I think James Gunn's going to try to hit with his Superman movie. Very hard tone to hit, but if you can hit it, yeah, that's a good thing. For me, I would probably have this around the 95, 96, 97 range, I think. Like I think this is a great movie. And it like always irks me that I leave it off often, like my list of greatest comic book movies. And it's like, why do I do that? This is excellent. This
I
is
don't
excellent.
know. I forget about. I don't like think about them either. I should.
Yeah, but then when you watch them, it's you get captivated by them. Very cinematic. They're very cinematic, and there's not a lot of like quips to them. They're just, like I said, very earnest, very sincere movies that wear their heart on their sleeves. But let's dig into some fun facts here, guys. Costume designer James Atkinson, I think that's how you say it, made subtle changes to Spider-Man's costume from the previous film. The colors were made richer and bolder. The Spider-Man emblem was given more elegant lines. The muscle suit underneath was made into pieces to give a better sense of movement. And the helmet Tobey Maguire wore under his mask was also improved, adding a false jaw for better movement and magnetic eyepieces, which were easier to remove. Um, what would you guys give for one of these Spider-Man costumes? Because I'd give a lot for a Spider-Man
The
costume.
costume's great. I mean, I think it looks so
Yeah.
cool, and I especially thought it looked cool when it came out. But it still looks great. I mean, the only thing is, it's like, I mean, buying into the fact that he made it is just
It's a
He
little
did.
over manufactured for on my my great aunt's sewing machine. Uh, yeah, the raised hemming and everything. I'm like, dude, that's you're in the wrong line of business as a photographer, man. You should be doing some bespoke clothing work.
Yeah, you could really make a name for yourself in the fashion industry, man.
Yeah.
It looks great. I mean,
Yeah,
it drives me kind of nuts that he takes the mask off and I can't find the line of the mask in the
yeah, it
suit.
always bugs me too. It
Um,
happens in every version. Takes off the you can't find the line. Yeah, it's annoying.
I can
But
buy into it easier than the nano thing, but
man, I don't like
uh,
the nano suit. I'm good on that.
The nano suits in every MCU
mm,
outfit now. It's every single one. It's everyone.
Everyone has an Iron Man suit.
yeah.
God, it's so annoying. It's so
Um, very cool suit
overdone.
though. Looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks beautiful. It is my second favorite design for the Spider-Man outfit. I think Andrew Garfield's from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home is probably like my favorite design because it's got the big eyes. Um,
I also think that Andrew Garfield just has a more classic, what I imagine Spider-Man like build too. He's a little bit
yeah,
leaner, a little bit more wiry, and I think his suit, like watching No Way Home, you kind of can tell though how all the suit designs kind of really fit the actors like kind of
yeah,
builds and whatnot too, like in terms of just like their overall design aesthetic. But I agree. I think Garfield's looks better, but I think it also has to just do with his overall frame he
yeah.
has.
Taller, skinnier, and Tobey Maguire's a little bit. He's shorter, bigger, like buffer.
Yep.
Um, Buffer look to him. Um, Danny Elfman, who composed the film score for this and several other films by Sam Raimi, had some sort of falling out with the director during the course of this film and has been quoted to saying, "To see such a profound negative change in a human being was almost enough to make me feel like I don't want to make films anymore." However, Raimi and Elfman reunited 9 years later for Oz the Great and Powerful. Hey, we saw that together well. Composer Christopher Young was called in at the very last minute to rescore the movie. Also, there's some Hellraiser stuff in there. It sounds like I think they used some of like a Hellraiser temp score for the movie. I think that's what they did,
Hmm.
and that's what they were going for. But the score for this movie's it's quite good, just like the first one. I mean that Spider-Man theme is it's excellent.
Yeah, it is good. It is.
I think it's mixed in well too. I think they swell it in and then they bring it out in pretty good timings and stuff. And like I think they do a good job of like when there needs to be some serious moment, you feel like a serious drawdown in the soundtrack and really focus on the scene at hand. And it also does a good job of blending just some contemporary ish music
Yeah,
as well, just to kind of keep it a little bit more brevity in it.
yeah, agree. Yeah, there's a couple songs in there that I like that they play. Speaking of music, the band Dashboard Confessional agreed to write a song for the end credits if they could see an advanced screening of the movie. The studio agreed, and after watching the film, the lead singer wrote "Vindicated" in 10 minutes. Which, if you haven't heard the song "Vindicated," it's excellent. Um, but additionally, the Three Doors Down band wrote a song "Let Me Go," which have you guys heard that song? "Let Me Go" or whatever. Um, it was going to be the main song for the movie, and to help promote it. And at the last minute, they pulled it and they made a change. And Three Doors Down used it on their 17 Days album, and the lyrics kind of reflect Peter's, longing for MJ, you love me, but you don't know who I am. Torn between this life I leave and where I stand. Um, yeah, I could see both these songs fit the movie really well. It's a shame that Three Doors Down didn't at least get on the CD for that. I feel like that's kind of a shame because both songs really do fit the movie.
I
At least they were able to kind of respin it, throw it on their
Yeah,
album, you know?
yeah,
yeah, I was at a like a double headliner show with Dashboard Confessional and All Time Low, and I was like, I don't know Dashboard, but my wife knows this music quite well, and she was like, Dashboard, she wrote the song for Spider-Man too, and I was like, how? It's such a random thing for you to know. Like that's it. I was like, but she
The
mentioned it.
Spider-Man movies have great songs. You have Hero by Nickelback, and then you have this song Vindicated by Dashboard Confessional, and then Spider-Man 3 has Signal Fire by Snow Patrol. Um, all bands very indicative of the time the movie came out, the big bands at the time. Um, great bands, great songs. Um, yeah, great soundtracks for these movies. I wish they did that more. I wish they had like big songs with these superhero movies. That would be sick. Like Kiss from a Rose from Seal. The end is the beginning is the end from Smashing Pumpkins for Batman and Robin. Wish they would revisit that.
I this is random and it's not going to be interesting to anybody. I'm not keep saying it anyway. My wife was talking about Cobra Starship, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
like, you know what song I'm talking about, and I just was like, I just was being annoying. I was like, snakes on a plane, like I just made that up, and she was like,
Yeah.
yes, how'd you know that? And I was like,
Oh my
because I was
god.
like, it's Cobra Starship, so I said snakes, and the first thing I thought of when I said snakes was snakes on a plane, and then she pulled up
It's
the music
that
video. It's got Samuel Jackson and who else is in there?
it's that
Some
so kiss me goodbye.
yeah,
Yeah.
funny. It was one of the weirdest moments.
Yeah. The hospital scene in this movie started out as a test shoot, but it came together so well that they decided to use it. Sam Raimi made it clear in the director's commentary that it was the arms attacking the doctors and not Dr. Octopus himself, although he wasn't sure if he made it clear in the scene. The nurse being dragged along the floor by one of Doc Ock's tentacles and scraping it up as she was being pulled backwards was achieved by the simple expedient of having the floor made of wax. I always love that shot of her being dragged away, and you see like the floor coming up. It's very Evil Dead of Sam Raimi. That scene in general is very Evil
Yeah,
Dead of Sam
definitely,
Raimi.
definitely. I mean, he
Also,
leaves
just like go Walker.
he leaves his trademarks kind of all over the movie and the first one.
Yes, he
This one
does.
it looks like he had a little bit more of a budget to work with, but I mean the first one it's very obvious. Like I watched the first one somewhat near watching Evil Dead, and it was just super duper clear. And like it isn't this too, especially in this scene.
Yeah.
And you just like I had my mother-in-law I was watching with my wife and my mother-in-law. I don't think my mother-in-law ever seen. She's like, "Oh, this is way more violent than the new Spider-Man movies." I'm like, "Yeah, you actually think about it. You step back, like it's not gory, but like that hospital scene is like it's pretty brutal when you put it in context of like what MCU like. There's plenty of fight scenes and stuff, but just like the sound effects, the reactions of just these innocent doctors trying to do their job, just
Yeah.
getting brutalized by these arms. It's really, I think it does a good job of setting the tone of like, not necessarily Doc Ock, but like the tentacles, like mentality, their inherent violence, and also just makes for a sick scene.
Yeah, it's also
It's so like it pushes the boundaries, like you said. It's like Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man 1 in that the end fight, how graphic that is.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man gets his ass kicked in that.
definitely,
And then
definitely.
yeah, it's got an edge to it. Uh, Michael Cabone or Kim Chabone, I think how you say that, guys. Cabone? I don't know. We'll
Chabon.
see.
Caben.
Caben. We'll go with that. Submitted a draft screenplay which featured a younger Doc Ock becoming infatuated with Mary Jane. And Capone's script, Octavius is the creator of the genetically modified spider that bites Peter Parker. Producer Avi Arad rejected the screenplay largely because he didn't like the idea of having another love triangle. Good choice.
Yeah, don't need that.
Yeah, I also just don't. I hate when screenwriters feel the need to like inherently tie everything to someone's past, like having him be the one to create
Mm-hmm.
the spider that bit. Like it's just you put too many threads on the past instead of just focusing on the now.
Yep.
Yeah, it convolutes the web, if you will,
Yeah.
web of the story. Thank you. Uh, the elevator scene between Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man costume and Hal Sparks was improvised and allowed the two actors to just riff off each other. Approximately 25 takes were shot. What's used in the theatrical film is in the first take. Several others can be seen on the 2.0 or 2.1 Blu-ray edition. Great sequence. It's really funny. The it rides up in the crotch a little bit too. It's a
That's
good
fine.
good little bit.
I appreciate it's like the only. It's not those bits aren't throughout the movie either. You know,
Yeah.
like you throw in one in there, it's great. You can probably throw it in a trailer if you want. Like it's funny, but it's not like every 20 minutes you get a breakaway gag scene. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
It
agree.
doesn't feel like it it's enough to sprinkle in to add some levity, but not too much that it drags the movie down and feels like it's just going for comedy. Um, Chris Cooper, Robert De Niro, David Duchovny, Ed Harris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sir Sam Neill, and Liev Schreiber were all considered for the role of Otto Octavius / Doctor Octopus. De Niro was considered for the role of Green Goblin and Spider Man, and Cooper would later play Norman Osborn very little bit in The Amazing Spider Man 2. Some of these I believe. I do not believe the Arnold Schwarzenegger one just because I feel like I think he was supposed to be, or the rumor was supposed to be in the James Cameron script for his Spider Man with Leo DiCaprio. That's who he wanted to play. Um, Otto Octavius. But when this movie was started production in 2002, I'm pretty sure Arnold was gearing up to be governor of California. So that one I don't really buy.
De Niro seems really out of place too.
Yeah.
I don't know. This seems really off tone for De Niro. Maybe I'm not framing it properly, like timeline wise, but I have a hard time
It's like Meet the
placing him.
Fockers era De Niro. I can't see that.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, also Alfred Molina. I mean, he owned the role so much. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
hard. 20 years later, it's so hard to picture anybody else doing it.
Yeah, no, I can't. I can't. It's. I'm sure there's an actor out there that can do it, but he is
He,
so good.
yeah, and he looks the part. I mean, it's just I feel like he's the standard now.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that one. Uh, as I was saying, production began on the sequel immediately after Spider Man was completed. Filming began before an official script was completed. It sounds like, reading the production notes, not the production notes, but watching the behind the scenes material and reading the stuff that I read online, it seems like this movie, I don't want to say it was a rush job. It wasn't a rush job, but it was like they are, you know, hitting like 100 miles an hour and not stopping until the movie came out.
Yeah, yeah.
They gotta catch the wave, man.
Mm-hmm.
Spidey was hot. You gotta catch the wave early. Like we need some shots of him swinging. Like we can do that without knowing what's going on. Like just have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, considering how great the script for this movie is,
It's
I mean, it came, yeah, they really nailed it. I mean, they had an Oscar winner writing the screenplay for Ordinary People, the guy who won the Oscar for Ordinary People, and it really shows because the scenes in this movie that stand out are the intimate one-on-one scenes. And the action scenes are always they're great too, but it's the one-on-one emotional beats that really work in this movie. So yeah, a lot of talented people working really hard on a great movie. This is the third highest grossing film of 2004, surpassed by Shrek 2, and the second Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which I think came out earlier in the month of June, if I'm not mistaken. And then Shrek 2 came out beginning of May. Despite being the lowest grossing film in the trilogy, this is the best reviewed film of the trilogy, and I also think it's the best looked at. I think this is everyone kind of recognizes that this is the best one.
Don't be bad mouthing Shrek 2 like that, Ben. That's
I
messed
love
up.
Shrek 2. I love Shrek.
I'm messing.
It's catnip. That's not mine. I love that bit in Shrek
I'm
2.
surprised that it's the lowest grossing in the trilogy.
It was a pretty packed summer. It still grossed a lot of money. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's around the $800 million range. Let me look. I'm gonna look this up. I should have had this in the show notes to begin with. Spider-Man 2 box office. But yeah, it's a competitive box office year too. It's a competitive year. Yeah, I was close. $795.8 million.
Mm.
I mean, Harry Potter was always a heavy hitter. Like every year those
Yeah,
films came out. Like maybe I'm not sure. I'm sure Sorcerer's Stone, was a little bit slower out the gate, but the rest of them I know basically just crushed every time.
Yeah.
yeah. They were the temple, which is funny. I being a big movie fan, Harry Potter I didn't watch until I met Carly.
Hmm. Yeah,
They
I
just
I
slipped through the
watched them.
cracks.
I had read three of them and seen maybe two of them until COVID, and then I watched all seven.
Nice, nice. And the last fun fact we'll get to here is you'll like this one, Walker. Jake Gyllenhaal nearly replaced Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man after Maguire injured himself filming Seabiscuit, but Maguire fully recovered in time to begin shooting. Gyllenhaal would later go on to play Mysterio in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
I mean, I've told the story several times, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I got into an argument with friends of mine about whether or not I was like, they look very similar, and they're like, they don't look anything alike. And then, like, within a week of this argument, they came out with a movie called Brothers that they played brothers, and now he almost replaced him in Spider-Man. I think. I mean, I'm very glad they didn't do that. That would have really put a damper on the legacy we talk about. But if you could start over beforehand, I mean, I think Jake Gyllenhaal would be pretty good in it.
Yeah,
I think
I
he's
think
got
you
the humor side of it, the cuteness side, you know. And
Yeah, I think you probably would have gotten a little bit more of a wisecracking Spider-Man with him.
I could just hear his voice
Because
inside the mask, just being funny, like a little more of the
yeah,
"keep here's your change," a little funnier
yeah,
than
Here's
that.
here's your change, man. I love that.
the coins.
Yeah,
God,
That was so comic. I'll probably talk about it more later, but I just loved how comic booky aspects were between a giant bank vault, the gold coins.
yeah,
Uh,
it's funny.
yeah, that was great. It's like Scrooge McDuck's vault. It's great.
Casual Joel McHale.
Yep, yep. When he was still doing what was it on E, the soup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I. It's funny. Seabiscuit, I think he hurt his back, and
Mm.
he was also there's rumors speculating that he wanted a pay increase, and then I think when they threatened to recast him, that's when he did that. I don't know. That's what I read on the internet. Probably not true. Um, but I'm glad that Tobey Maguire was able to come back and do this.
Yeah,
Because made for a great movie, and he's a great Spider-Man. Um, and would have been something though to see Jake Gyllenhaal as Spider-Man. Would have been something. All right, let's get on into our award section. We're going to start off with favorite scenes and moments. And guys, usually I do my best to try to get this down to 10, and Walker helps me out trying to keep this down to 10. This was hard. This was so hard. Walker can attest to this. How many did I have before we got this down
33,
to 16? 33.
33. Oh, wow.
33.
also known as the
Because there's,
movie.
yeah, the entire movie. It's not nearly as bad as what was it that I sent you? It was Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that had 3 hours of top scenes and moments.
Yeah. It's the gotta get like a self editor or something, you know. Walker is my editor here. Um, so we'll start off with pizza time. Such a
Yep.
great way to start off your movie. It's not this big action scene, but it perfectly captures what is going to be going on in the entire movie of him trying to have his cake and eat it too and failing at both.
Yeah. Also love it that it's at Joe's Pizza on Bleecker Street, which is pretty famously one of the better pizza spots in the world, I guess. I went there 2 months ago. It's now closed. It was when I saw it in the movie, I had known that it was in Spider Man when I went to the restaurant a couple months ago, and but when I saw it today in the movie, I was like, it wasn't on a corner, was it? Like I was watching the movie and I was like, did they like redo it, kind of do some movie magic to put it on a corner? And it wasn't. I just looked it up, and apparently the landlord raised the rent to $15,000 a month. So 240 square foot. This was in 2004. $15,000 a month for a 240 square foot building, and they had been paying 900 a month for like 20 years at that point. And then we couldn't negotiate it down, so they moved 3 doors down from the corner of Bleecker Street to Carmine Street, and that's the one I went to. So same restaurant, same folks. I didn't see Mr. Aziz there.
Was it good?
Yeah, it is good. It's what you think when you think of New York. I mean, I'd rank it fourth out of the 4 pizza places we went to in New York, but it was good.
This scene always makes me crave pizza.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Also, just the quick, levity of he stole that guy's pizza.
Yeah, I like
Although the fact I having lived in New York for a while and now being like in Chicago, the fact that the order came in for 10 deep dish pizzas, I'm like, who is ordering
I know
10 deep dish pizzas from Joe's in New York? Like, I think you would be banned from like your number would be blacklisted from the pizza place at that point.
And there wasn't
Now,
any deep dish for the guy on the balcony that almost had a slice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I have to ask you this, Will. As someone
Mhm.
who's lived in both places, do you prefer the deep dish from Chicago or the New York style from New York?
Oh man, this is a contentious topic. I got to
Okay.
tread lightly. Now, they're just entirely different meals. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't,
Yeah.
even if someone in Chicago, you don't say, "Oh, let's get some pizza," and then you get deep dish. People are like, "Oh, you should have clarified that we were getting deep dish." It's a different mentality I go into it with. Deep
Yeah.
dish is phenomenal, but it's a different headspace. You got to line yourself up for.
Yeah.
I putting in the same ballpark as a standard like New York style slice is just miscategorization at its best.
Like lasagna.
Yeah, I can't put them in the same room.
So
I think it's, to me at least, it's the deep dish is breaded lasagna to me. It's very good, but it's breaded lasagna, and then you have the New York style pizza, which I love. I love it.
yeah, I
Love
very
both.
very I like it all. I mean, I'm a pizza guy. I went to New York
Yeah.
2 months ago and had pizza 4 times to try some different spots and really liked them all. Chicago, I did deep dish at Luminati's and liked it a lot, but everybody in Chicago was like, no, like we really like tavern style pizza. A
Yeah.
lot of the locals, and we went to Vito and Nick's, this place on my shirt,
Mm-hmm.
and we ate there twice in one vacation. It was so good. I went back there this week and got a pizza and then brought Jessica one. I like shrink wrap or vacuum sealed it and put it in like a cooler and ice packs and stuff and flew it home with me, and she's been eating that since. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. If you're in Chicago, you go there because you're feeling deep dish most of the time, like you said, tavern style. But if you come back, Pequod's is
Okay.
the place to go.
I'll
Yeah,
check it out.
only two locations, but it's the best I've personally had around. I'm sure someone can correct me otherwise.
I've seen it on the list. I saw it on a Reddit thread. It was one of the recommendations. I didn't have enough time to have both.
Yeah, now I really want pizza. God.
It's pizza time.
It is pizza time. Getting back to the movie. Peter heads to MJ's play. And then the Jet song plays. I love this scene. It goes back again, talking about the duality. Does he be Peter? Does he stay as Peter Parker? Does he want to go back and be Spider-Man? Like, can he take a night off? He can't really allow himself to. And then it's just a great scene, and the music playing is just perfect. I think it adds a great touch.
Yeah, I mean, it builds on top of everything he's already feeling, and you just know he's can't get ahead, can't catch up, can't do what he needs to do.
Yeah,
It's such a great intro to like that whole theme of that conflict, and it very visually shows it early on, and like it carries throughout the next, probably 2 acts of the movie before we kind of get towards the fairy tale end.
yeah. It's a carryover from this scene, but Peter versus the Usher. It's so great. She asked me to come, yeah, but not to come late.
Yeah,
all the all the spot corrections, like, oh, you might want to just tighten up that and saw this. And like, hey, can I help you?
It is good. He's good.
Bruce Campbell's so great.
Who's he in the first one?
He is the wrestler announcer, and then in this one, Usher, and then in the third one, he is the host the hosts at the restaurant that he's going to propose to MJ at.
Okay.
I also have a core memory of him being the voice of the guy for the tutorial in the original Spider-Man game for the Spider-Man movie. It was Bruce Campbell voiceover teaching you how to swing, and you do it wrong, he would just mock you.
That's funny.
It was mercilessly mock you, and he just great. And I love when Sam Raimi throws him in the movies. Going back to Evil Dead, they've always been intertwined and doing stuff together. It's always great. He was Pizza Papa in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Peter's voicemail to MJ. I found this scene so incredibly relatable. A little dated now, obviously, because the payphone, but we've all had those moments where we don't have the courage to tell someone something yet, but we're working it up. And he just so desperately wants to tell this girl that he loves her and that he cares about her, but he feels like he can't tell her that because it'll put her in harm's way, and he won't be able to live up to the promise that he's made to Uncle Ben. And it's so sad and heartbreaking, but also incredibly relatable. And it's that one continuous circular shot of him just, here it is, I'm Spider-Man. It's great.
It's always a good trope when they do the phone disconnected and they say what they really want to say. I think that always works.
Mm-hmm. Also, just the running theme of him just being desperately low on cash throughout the whole movie. Like he ran out of quarters for the payphone.
Yeah. This one.
And then he only gets to, was it 3 flowers from the entire
bouquet?
Yeah, bouquet. A Doc Ock surgery. We've kind of already discussed this, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's well shot. It's fun. It's got that bit of horror. I mean, I love that they needed a chainsaw. And
anyone take shop class?
One guy just grabs a chainsaw out of there. It's pristine for
and then all 4 of them show up, and yeah.
I think the switches the points of view of the claws too, like their little internal cameras, is pretty cool. Just cinematic decision making.
Well, it carries back to Sam Raimi's. I love directors that have a very clear voice and vision when they're behind the camera, and Sam Raimi absolutely does, and it harkens back to what he did with Evil Dead when the spirit in the wind or whatever is following him around in the house in Evil Dead. And it carries over. He does that often. It's a trope that he does. It's a technique that he does, and it always works so well. It puts you right in the perspective of the person chasing the protagonist. You're hoping prevails. It's great. The impending doom of it all. It's nice. Peter's Night from Hell. So this is what I dubbed the scene. I forget. It's a party. For J. Jonah Jameson's son, who's the astronaut, and at this party, Dude can't get a drink. He can't get a cocktail. He can't get any food. Uh, his best friend is belligerently drunk, slaps him several times. Mary Jane turns him down, gets in an argument with her, and then she gets proposed to, and he has to take the photo of it. And it's like this sucks. This is like the lowest of the low for Peter in the movie.
Yeah. Also,
Very much the straw that broke the camel's back sort of type of night. And you
Yeah.
definitely feel that. Like as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's too bad. But now I'm like, oh, dude, this guy is going through it right now.
Yeah. He gets his butt kicked a lot in this movie, like whether it's, you know, people taking his money because he owes so much money to people, or not being able to get his money, or, you know, getting his head knocked around by book bags going back and forth. To this night, this is where it all culminates, and this is, like you said, Will, the where the straw broke the camel's back. This is the moment, and I think it would break anybody, honestly.
yeah, he's tough. Harry Osborn's also just a menace in this movie. He's just like He's problematic the entire time. He's rough.
Yeah, it's all rough in this movie, especially this scene. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Uh, Great scene. I
I love
can't
this.
ever hear this song and not think about Spider-Man 2.
No, it's great. It's funny to see him like seemingly happy, but just kind of still falling apart.
It's so ironic, the juxtaposition of like this happy song playing, and then the freeze frame of him smiling at the end when the song ends. And it's like everything's still falling apart around you, minus your school. Your school's still you're doing well there, but everything else is still kind of sucks.
I just love him just like watching what's the fire trucks and the police cruisers go by and just like looking and then just a quick
Yeah, that was a good scene.
violent
Munching.
bite of that glizzy. Just gnawing on that hot dog. Makes me want to go back to the city and get a dirty water dog just from seeing it.
Yeah, it I think it's him like just trying to like like trying to cope, because you can tell there's that itch that he still wants to get out, be Spider-Man, and him taking that big bite is him just taking a big bite of life, trying to ignore everything else around him. Yeah, and now I want a hot dog. So hot dog and pizza. I'm hungry. I think I'm
Oh,
hungry.
is a hot dog pizza a thing? Can we do it the hot dogs?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
think
feel
that's
like that might.
I think it might be a war crime. It
Yeah,
might be a
it
violation.
might be. You know, pineapple on pizza gets people going. I wonder how hot dogs on pizza will get people going. I feel like that would just be nasty.
Hot dogs and ketchup.
Ah, gross. I don't like ketchup, so that's a big no-no for me. Uh, Peter's confession to Aunt May. This is tough.
I like that I like that she doesn't immediately say, "Okay, that's fine." I like that she just walks away from him. Makes it a little more. Give her some time to absorb it.
Yeah,
It's a more human response,
yeah,
just like the withdrawal. She doesn't tear into him. She doesn't, like I said, doesn't immediately forgive him, but just just separates herself from it. And just the weight and how much time, like screen time, Raimi gives to this scene and how long they allows the actors to take to get this message across, I think gives a lot of weight to it.
what's the like I said earlier, it's the intimate scenes between characters and the relationships and the dynamics between them that makes this movie excel. The action scenes are great, but it's these moments like this that make the action scenes great, because we care about them because of these scenes. Um, and the choice, like you said, to let the actors do their work for this, but also the camera. It lingers on Peter the entire time he's confessing to Aunt May what he's done. And it's not the easy thing to do. but it's the heroic thing to do, because it's like I said earlier, it's not being a hero is not about doing the easy thing. It's about doing the hard thing, even when you know you're not. It's not going to be good for you. It's not going to feel good for you. Um, and this scene perfectly encapsulates that. And like you said, the very human response of her not saying anything, just getting up and leaving, taking her hand away, almost feeling like disgust.
Yeah.
Uh, Peter saves the little girl. I love this, and I put this scene in here not because, like, first off, if you've ever been inside a structure fire, it does not look as clear as this. Let me tell you that much. It is way smokier. You can't see anything. They do this for movies, but um, I like that even when he's not Spider-Man, Peter Parker still himself is still a hero, but also the little girl is so cute, and her helping him up as a dad and playing with my little girl. She does that to me all the time. So I loved it. Pulled at the heartstrings.
So,
Well, also, I think the tail end of the scene too, where he's, the firefighter's talking about the person who didn't make it out, and
Yeah.
just like Peter probably at the time is feeling such relief, like I did the right thing, like I saved the girl, and then he's just like, it's still he gets even after this amazing selfless deed he did, he's like hit with the weight of the consequence of choosing to give up Spider-Man because Spider-Man could have saved everybody, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and imagine how that would hit you. Like you're riding this high, and then all of a sudden you realize you didn't get everybody, and you could have. And that just again, it's like, what do I do? Which flows into this next scene of, am I not supposed to have what I want, what I need? And him facing this crisis of confidence is what it is. And the simple act of human kindness can really make you feel all the better in the world, where she brings him that she just comes in and says, hey, you want a piece of chocolate cake? And it's so nice. It's just a
Mhm.
scene of her giving him chocolate cake, and that's it. I don't know if a scene like this were in a different superhero movie, it probably gets cut, but it adds so much to me to the story. The simple acts of just human decency and kindness can make you feel all the better in the world.
yeah, it's just not chocolate cake though. It was clearly yellow cake with chocolate frosting on it.
That's chocolate cake to
That's
me.
not chocolate cake. Chocolate cake is chocolate. The cake is chocolate. I
For
know in
the
the
for the
movie.
record, though, just to clarify, yellow cake with chocolate frosting is vastly better than chocolate cake with chocolate frosting.
Thank
I do
you.
agree. I do.
Thank you.
She just calls it
Yes.
chocolate cake though. She's like, "You want a piece of chocolate cake?" And then it just zooms in on the plate, and they're eating yellow cake.
It's funny though.
I'm
That's
not saying it
you
ruined
say
the
this.
movie, but
No, no, no. You say this though, and my wife, when we were watching this last night, had the exact same comment. It's like, that is not chocolate cake. That is yellow cake with chocolate frosting. Which I agree with you, Will. It's superior. It's superior.
Superior.
I agree too.
We all know. We all know. Um, I believe there's a hero in all of us. Gives us strength, makes us noble. Like it. It's so good.
I mean, it's just peak Aunt May energy.
Mhm.
Like it really is, though, and it's something I think both the following iterations of Spider-Man just I just feel like just the way it's delivered, the context of it, and everything, and how it's so just. I would say, I mean, it feels if you really dig into it, it feels a little kind of hand and fist forced, but like generally, it's just Aunt May being Aunt May. Like she doesn't know he's Spider Man, or she does. She's not laying it on, and just giving him solid life advice and sharing some true wisdom.
Yeah, and it's also her growing and kind of giving him a lesson without giving him a lesson, which is she's not like she's going to lose the house. And she's like, you know what? Whatever. It's just a house. I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm not gonna sit and sulk about it. I'm gonna move on. Um, and that's what you got to do sometimes. And it's a life lesson for him to like, pish posh, just wander under the bridge or over the dam, however you say it, whatever she says in the movie. It's that life lesson from
Yeah,
Aunt May. It's
can't
great.
can't always can't always hold on to everything you want. You have to make some
Nope.
sacrifices sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to give up the things you want the most. Be steady. Um. Oh, my back.
I like this a lot. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
I'm back.
Yeah.
My back.
Caitlin was asking me why I was smiling as he was gearing up to sprint across this rooftop, and I was just like, I can't, you just have to wait.
I looked over at Carly when this happened, when he falls and goes, "Oh, my back. Oh, my back." I was like, this is how I feel after I wake up every morning. It's, oh, my back.
Yeah.
Every
I mean,
morning.
As I
I
crack my
I
back.
hit 26 and then it's just like it's all downhill from here.
yeah, there's a reason this had a little callback joke in No Way Home because it's iconic and it's phenomenal.
Well, it's also like, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but Tobey Maguire had the back injury. And then he goes, "Oh, my back," in the movie. So maybe they wrote that in to kind of just poke at him a little bit. Who knows? But it's kind of funny. And like you said, No Way Home, they have that joke. Yeah, just have a back thing. It's great.
Also that walk, I felt so sympathetic. That little like quarter step walk away when you tricked your back and like I can't take a full step anymore.
Yeah.
It was well done.
That's the worst. That is the worst. I've never had my back pulled like that, but I've pulled my hamstring, like bending down and coming back up too fast. And just trying to walk after that is brutal. Uh, the train fight. This is still one of the most thrilling sequence in comic book film ever, I think.
Yeah, I think this is the most memorable scene in the movie to me. One of the most memorable scenes in the trilogy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the memes that come with it too. Him trying to stop the train. It's
also
great.
the aftermath in the train with the kids and the mask and the people and them helping him is like can almost make you cry.
Yeah. And also just like the Spider-Man nature of like, Doc Ock throwing civilians at him, which is what a wild move. But also Spider-Man just like catching them and chucking them and just like casually shooting webs to catch them off the side and just like carrying on. This is very Spider-Man. And like you said, the holding the train is like, I still remember when Homecoming came out and like he's trying to hold the ferry and just my thought just goes back to I always just think of the train scene. Like that's like classic. I think in the comics as well, there's several iterations of Spider-Man just like being pulled apart, trying to hold stuff together, but such a great shot.
It's also like how brutal it is because they are going at it like hard. Like it's probably up to this point outside of like the ending of the first Spider-Man movie. This gets really intense with how aggressive their fighting style is. And as well as the ending when he stopped in the train and you see the rips that are happening in his suit and how intense he gets when he's screaming. He tries to stop it with his foot, that doesn't work, and then he's getting pulled into the train. Like it's intense.
I also like the when at the end when Doc Ock comes back and everyone's like, "You're gonna have to go through me," and it's like nice for a second. And he's like, "All right," and just
Kid Joey Diaz popping out.
Yeah. Although I do think that the rips in his suit were more of an allude to all the hot dogs and chocolate, not chocolate cake he was having.
Eating a little too much hot dogs and chocolate cake, man. Putting on the pounds. Yeah, it's such an exhilarating sequence. I think my favorite shot from this though is when he gets thrown off the train and then pulls himself back on by like skating on his back on the concrete. Great.
Or the bridge where he's thrown at the bridge and he just kind of like just rotates himself
Yeah,
to
that's
fit
cool.
through the little
Yes,
gaps as well.
that's sick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of good shots in here. Um, MJ realizes that Peter is Spider-Man slash I will not die a monster. It's a great redemption story for Doc Ock and very powerful redemption story as well because he's a very sympathetic villain because it's not Otto Octavius that's really doing this. He's being manipulated by the tentacles to do this. They're kind of taking taking him hostage in a way, and he gets to overcome and gets to go out a hero at the end of the day. He saves the day, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that moment where MJ realizes, because it's hinted at that she kind of has suspicions that he is Spider-Man. Um, but that moment between them is great, and him catching the building falling on her. This is really heavy.
Yeah,
It's nice.
I like the scene. I like her side of it a lot more. I like I think
Yeah.
she it's a good performance too when she like it fully recognizes it and looks at him. And it's not really overdone or anything. It's I think it's sweet. And you kind of forget. I mean, you like I did at least while he's fighting with him, he has to like take off his mask and like he doesn't. And now Octavius knows, but you're like, all right, well he's probably not going to tell anybody because he's probably going to. You assume he's going to die at the end of the scene or something, and you're just like it's fine. And then you forget that MJ's right there. And after I did at least, we came back, I was like, oh shit, she got him.
Which I
Yeah.
got to say, like, they do a very good job of, like, for the most part, like Toby Spider-Man, it really only takes off his mask when he needs to. It's one of the gripes I've had with the most recent iterations of the Tom Holland is I feel like he takes off his mask way too often. And like, you know, this one, he's like, he gets stuff blasted, it clogs up his vision, and he has to take off the mask or XYZ. But I think you said like the weight of when he actually takes it off and the realization is very well done without being overplayed by Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, they show instead of tell. The
Yeah.
reaction is
Yeah,
it's great. Um, Peter tells MJ they can never be. Just emotional. Because again, it's like he's like telling her like I love you, but this can't be because I'm Spider-Man and I will always be Spider-Man. And sometimes we have to give up the things we want the most, you know. And he wants her the most. And it's heartbreaking.
yeah,
My my biggest undercut is the massive spider web they are holding this conversation on is very unnecessary, and like it's clearly oriented in a way that she's clearly holding on. Like it's not in any way that she can actually chill after nearly being crushed to death. Like it's a giant spider web that she's holding on to 100 feet in the air.
And how about her getting lowered just by his wrist? Like I don't know. It just that makes me like I don't know.
Oh, that comes
Just
out of you, dude.
yeah. Is that the only place it comes out of, or is there? Yeah, it's great. Um, it's a really good sequence, but it kind of goes into the last one that we have here, which is MJ makes her decision. Finally says, "Go get him, Tiger," and they have their final swing and also their kiss. Um, I love how she runs to him in the wedding dress, everything. He's just chilling on the bed. He's kind of all depressed. And she says, "No, this is my decision as much as it is yours. And I'm telling you that I'm okay with it. And this is my decision. I want to be with you." And then they kiss. But there's that shot of him just swinging out of the window, goes to go get him, Tiger. How ecstatic he is! He is like flying on cloud nine right now. But then the shot goes back to her, and it's this almost, oh, what have I just done, and what have I committed to? Because he is going to do this all the time, and my heart's going to be a wreck because he's always going to be in danger, and it's done in a subtle shot and a subtle performance by Kristen Dunst that is excellent, excellent stuff.
I agree completely. I like this scene a lot. It made me smile a lot. It made me laugh a little bit, and I thought the subtle look back was also well done. I thought is "Go Get 'Em, Tiger." Is that a callback to something earlier? I don't remember.
MJ always says the classic line in comics, "Go get him, Tiger."
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, that then I do like it. I still like it then.
Yeah,
It's just a great. It's a nice little bow on everything else in the film.
yeah, completely agree. Out of all these sequences, guys, which one is your favorite? I think for me, it's the train fight. I think that's the most memorable scene from this movie.
I think it is for me too. I hope. I feel like we're gonna go chalk here. I always try to like think of something new. I liked pretty much all of these scenes a lot though. But yeah, I mean the train fight's just iconic. Oh, my
Yeah,
back was funny. In the end, makes me smile.
yeah,
Um, I think uh, I think the train fight's probably my top one, but I'd like to shout the him jumping in the fire to save the little girl. I think
hmm
it goes a lot to show just the character of Peter, like not having powers, he still does this
Mm-hmm.
incredibly reckless thing, but also, as I think I said earlier, of just like the realization that giving up Spider means he couldn't save everyone, if he saved one person. I think it just shows like now he, even though he makes the right choice, his overarching decision to lay down the mask really has consequences.
yeah. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. And well said. Worst scenes and moments. Honestly, guys, most of these are nitpicks for me. Um, the digital effects on the billboard for Emma Rose.
Looks so dumb.
It,
I
it
mean, it,
doesn't.
it's like the
It
first
doesn't.
visual of the movie. Like you feel like it like opens on
Yeah.
that.
There was a toy that I had that came with this billboard. Um,
Really, that's so
yeah.
that's so detailed. Yeah, that's
It
cool.
looked good on the toy, but not on the not on the big screen. Um, this isn't a scene or a moment, but whoever was in charge of Doc Ock's neckline deserves harsh punishment because that thing was high.
Well, I don't understand. What is that? What do we talk? What do we mean?
The neckline of his cut, like
Oh,
it
oh,
came
the
up all the way.
bat. I
Like
didn't notice it, but that sounds like something I would notice.
I, I noticed it as a kid, and I was like, why? That is so high. That is someone did you dirty, and you need your money back. That is ridiculous. You looking at it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god, not
God,
bring
it's
this up.
halfway of his ears.
Right? Like it's insane. It's like almost a bowl cut. It is almost a
Yeah,
bowl cut.
it's an interesting choice. It's an interesting choice. I'm looking at it now.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if he sticks with it.
That's funny.
Yeah. The line delivery of "I'm ruined. I lost everything except Spider-Man." It's
Yeah.
I give it a
just
pass
not.
just for the memeage that has happened since.
Yeah.
I just it's the time it's pretty cheesy. It's still cheesy, but it makes me laugh. So I give it a pass for that now.
That's fair. That's fair. It's just it's so like monotone and no emotion in it whatsoever. I'm ruined.
Hmm.
I've lost everything
You're
except
pretty good
Except
Spider-Man.
at
Spider Man.
mimicking things. I feel like you say things like that a lot, and that sound pretty spot on.
Thank you, sir. The second, again, very nitpicky. The second nothing from Doc Ock when he says nothing will stand in our way. Nothing. It's very like
Yeah.
it's a little overdone.
It's pretty comic booky. You know,
Very,
you
yeah.
could see it being its own like separate panel, all caps. Just
It would be like the whole page, him standing up.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it's a little much on screen.
yeah. When the guy's getting the shit kicked out of him in the alley, and Peter just stands there and then turns away. Um, just because you choose not just to be Spider-Man doesn't mean you have to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can call the cops or something.
It's pretty bad. It's a pretty far stray from like the other stuff. It's like, oh, cops rushing to the scene across the city,
Yeah.
XYZ, versus I'm the only person here and this dude is getting just beat down and I'm just like staring at him like, okay, Pete.
Put the hot dog in that scene. Like,
Yeah, that's when he bites the
Just side eyes. Oh, nothing. Yeah. Don't notice me. The final one I have is the VFX of Doc Ock carrying MJ away.
Yeah, there was a couple scenes, if I'm being honest. I mean, because I hold the movie in high regard in terms of VFX, and I think it all looks, or most
It
of
all
it
looks
looks
good.
really
Yeah.
great. It still looks great, pretty much, and it was a big to do, with Doc Ock and everything. And I think uh, for a lot of, I mean, Sam Raimi was creative, like he always is for some of it, and but all of my VFX problem had to do most of the like he was electrocuted 3 or 4 times, I think, during the movie, and every time that happened, it seemed I didn't love the way it looked.
Dude, that's super bad for you. That's a lot of electricity pumping through you.
Yeah. That's not good for
um,
you, bro.
so that was my only like. I mean, I'm being nitpicky as well, just because the movie is so it looks so great. Um,
Yeah.
Still, and those little scenes, those electrocuted scenes, and then also the bank vault. I don't know if you guys noticed the holes in the wall when when he pulls the vault door off the bank wall, like the holes just like appear. It's really like funny how they do it. Like it's like the camera like barely cuts and the door's separated, and now there's like holes in the thing. It's kind of nitpicky, like you said.
Yeah, most of these are nitpicky. I guess like if I had to pick one, unless is there anything else you want to mention, Will, before we start picking?
Um, Aside from random VFX stuff, no, I think you can pick that or the 20-year-old movie, 20-year-old superhero movie. Like you're going to have
Yeah.
VFX stuff that you're just going to have issues with. I don't think there's anything too horrific really that's not already
No.
on this list.
Yeah. I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be the I'm Ruined, with the caveat that, much like you will, the memeage that has come since has elevated it, and it puts a smile on my face when I see it. But let's move on to best performance. Who do you guys got for that?
I mean, I think my answer is just gonna be Tobey Maguire. I mean, I think Alfred Molina
Yeah.
made an iconic role his own, and there's a lot to say for that. And I think, the only person I mean, Kirsten Dunst, had a couple moments that she shined that I thought, like, when she when she learned who Spider Man was. But I think I mean, I just got to go Tobey Maguire. I mean, I think he, owned the role.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Tobey Maguire is the standout here. Also, I love his performance when he just looks and appears tired and exhausted, because it looks very real. I have had that look on my face a couple of times, more than a couple of times.
I'm gonna agree with Toby across the board. Like I said earlier, I think Rosemary Harris Aunt May. It's like my favorite rendition of Aunt May. It feels very Aunt May, and also just shout out for J.K. Simmons. I mean, he doesn't get a ton of screen time, but like, there's a reason he was brought back as J. Jonah Jameson again. Like he really embodies the role, and every time he's on screen, he's such a terrible person, but you love him.
The burst out laughter. Ha 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 ha! Are you serious? Yeah.
Or the I think in the last scene of the wedding, and he's like, we gotta call Deborah or whoever. He's like, the wedding planner, don't open the caviar. Like that's his focus. He's like,
also what's the line he says? He's like, food scare sweeps the city. Is there a food scare? I'm a little nauseous. Yeah.
He is great. He's great, and that's a awesome role for him. I that's a good point. Also, poor John Jameson. He really kind of got in the way of everything. He just kind of was cannon fodder in this. He seemed like a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, he seemed like an all right kind of guy, but he got left at the altar. Tough to get over.
I thought she left him after she upside down kissed him. I thought was she decided to leave him after.
She said she wanted to see if that did it for her or not. Let's be real. She's like, let me see if I can recreate this moment from.
You're not as good as Spider-Man, but I'm gonna go back with Toby or Peter. That's funny.
It leads me to believe I think she had her hunches that he was Spider-Man. She just wanted him to say it.
Mm.
Um, moving on to the Does This Make Sense award. We have a couple here, guys. How did Mr. Aziz not notice Spider-Man's glove coming out of the pocket of Peter's jacket? Because it's a very like not short, very not subtle. Like there was a disturbance. Yeah, it's like not subtle at all. How did he not know?
He doesn't have time, man. He's busy. He's busy. Go get these pies out the door, man. No time to be thinking of who's Spider-Man and who's not.
I mean, deep dish and deliver it in 29 minutes.
Spider-Man can deliver this in 7 minutes. What are you doing?
Why would Peter web a pizza to get it back? It's going to be all gross now. It's going to be all covered in web and nasty.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
he's
a funny
definitely getting fired if he delivers a Pac-Man pizza, though. If he can't do it in 29 minutes, they're going to...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great shot. You do have some questions about it. I think throughout any Spider-Man rendition, there's questions of like how he uses web sometimes in his daily life. You're like, you just close your bedroom door with web. I think it's there for like a few hours, right? Like it doesn't just disappear. But yeah, I don't want that slice of pie.
Yeah, I'm not eating that. How is Harry already running Oscorp?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's just, I don't know.
'Cause-
That whole just dynamic was it was bigger than the I'm ruined part. Like the whole thing was just like off-putting to me. Like with Harry running Oscorp and being like Mr. Big Shot like immediately, and like walking in there like who pays the bills?
Nobel Prize, Nato Nobel Prize. Yeah, it's very like
Yeah,
it's not very well thought out and put together. I will say like you can make an excuse for it though. And in my head canon, um, this movie takes place 2 years after Spider-Man, the first one. Harry's graduated college. You can get your undergrad in 2 years, and he's because of what his last name is, he could go ahead and run Oscorp, and he just goes ahead and goes into that position. And that's kind
yeah,
of my canon. And Peter's still in college because he is just trying to juggle too much, and it's taking him longer.
yeah. I don't have trouble buying it. I just don't like it.
That's fair. Yeah, that's plenty fair. Peter just leaves Aunt May in the bank, and this never gets brought up again.
Yeah. Also, like I just wanted to see the conversation of Aunt May casually telling Peter that she got carried up a skyscraper by a man with 4 robot arms and saved by Spider-Man. Like just that conversation, and Pete just goes, "Oh wow."
Yeah. Oh wow.
So anyway, let me tell you
about
about Unky B. Let me tell you.
Great callback. No, I think this leads into my next one. Does she know that he is Spider-Man? I think she does. I think she knows he's Spider-Man. Otherwise, this would get brought up. And it also explains why she gives him this very on-the-nose speech of, I believe there's a hero in all of us. We need Spider-Man back. I think the city's a better place with him kind of comments. She knows.
Spider-Man tells us there's a hero in all of us. Yeah. I think she knows.
Yeah, and I think that answers the question of why she didn't bring this up, because she knows. She knows he's Spider-Man. Mamas always know. And in this case, aunts always know. How is Doc Ock taking punches from Spider-Man? Aunt May takes him out with one hit from an umbrella.
Yeah, I straight up said this to my wife when we were watching this. I'm like, this is just one of those things. Like you have to, otherwise the movie be over in an instant. But like, yeah, Otto Octavius is still just a dude. Spider-Man could just one hit KO him with like I know he canonically pulls his punches, but like the flip side of like I know we mentioned several times like No Way Home, but like when Tom Holland's Peter is just beating the Goblin mercilessly, like he's genetically modified, like he can take it. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, he just has these robot arms. Like a punch in the face from Spider-Man should do it.
yeah, he's done. He might die from that hit.
Yeah.
It's like you said though, it's canonical. He pulls his punches. Andrew Garfield talks about pulling his punches and not pulling his punches in No Way Home. So that's you kind of have to suspend your disbelief that and write it in for your old headcanon. Yeah, he pulls his punches.
I thought you were stronger.
I thought you were strong.
That'd be a brutal Spider-Man movie. Just
Oh, that would be tough. That would be a tough way to go. Um, I'm sorry, but no one is taking not taking rather pictures of maskless Spider-Man. Like someone's taking pictures of this guy. I call BS. I know like it's supposed to be like a good wholesome moment of we won't tell anybody, but even back in 2004, you could take pictures on your phone, flip
Yeah,
phone
I
if you
think
had one.
it's. I mean, I agree. It's probably not realistic, but I think that's the beauty of it. I think the moment is special because they appreciate him, and that's just kind of the point that he's able to
Collectively, they all
have
take
this
a
impact on these people, and they say,
this,
like, "Well, your secret's safe with
also like they just had this near-death experience and they all just like had this verbal agreement that we wouldn't tell anyone. If one person pulled out their phone to take a
me."
photo, they may have gotten beaten like terribly. Maybe that
Like
did
a
happen. They had to
Family
cut
Guy,
that. Yeah.
Family Guy thing where like someone's like, "Shit," and
Someone beats up Peter. I'm sorry. Uh, Peter, you killed my father. There's bigger things here than me and you. I think this could have been handled and answered a bit better. Like
yeah,
actually, you know what? I didn't. I know, like at the end of the first one, he says, "Don't tell Harry." But I feel like at this point, you can be like, "Hey, listen, your dad was Green Goblin. I didn't kill him. He flung his own glider into his balls and killed himself. Like this was a mistake. Um, this, it is what it is. Your father was still a good man. He was just under this drug that made him crazy. But also, how does he know where Doc Ock's place is?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually that doesn't I don't unless I missed the scene where he told him where his hideout was, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, that shouldn't be. Um, how come Harry is hallucinating without Norman, or hallucinating Norman without taking any of the Goblin formula?
Yeah, I think there are better ways. Like if they wanted to be the moment was him like shattering that mirror, like they could have had another drunken Harry moment, like him just like
Mm-hmm.
throwing stuff, right? I think and even like the fact that it's preluded by the cackles like didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Like the goblin laughter, like if it was just his dad, like maybe, but like all of it together, I'm like, you're really leaning heavy setting up this sequel.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Where he's New Goblin, he's not Hobgoblin. Um,
That's his name in the third one, New Goblin.
yeah, it's New Goblin on the
Also goblin.
toys. Yeah,
I'm
But
also
it,
goblin.
you're also Goblin.
but is he the Hobgoblin though? In for like in terms of like what was in the comic and stuff.
Yeah, Hobgoblin. I think. Yeah,
Why do you think they did that? You know.
I really don't know. There's some decisions that they made in Spider-Man 3 where I don't know.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's another podcast episode right there.
Yes. That is a different episode entirely. I will now kind of defend it, but it's not a perfect movie.
Ton
Out
of
of all
villains.
these things, do what?
And there are a ton of villains in it.
There's three villains.
Three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the plot and how they're all intertwined is what makes it hard. Even though themes in the movie for Spider-Man 3 are very strong. I think the theme of forgiveness, letting go, that kind of stuff. I think it's excellent. It's just some of the execution in the movie is not great. Um,
Gotcha.
but out of all these sequences, guys, what's the thing that sticks in your craw where you're like, this doesn't make sense to me?
I think Peter leaving the bank. I think Peter leaving the bank. I mean, Aunt May just had the biggest day of her life, and Peter was with her and wasn't with her, and it just never came out.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll write that one off as her knowing he's Spider-Man and not saying
Yeah.
anything. That's the only mental justification I give for that. Um, I mean, I think the very end, the setup for the Spider-Man 3 stuff with the new Goblin.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of better ways that would have made a lot more sense than he just starts having random hallucinations of the Green Goblin's laughter and seeing his dad in a mirror. His dad also having to hallucinate in. It could have been teed up a lot more organically.
Yeah. I agree. I think just to be different, I will pick. How does Harry know where Doc Ock is?
Probably the top three.
Those are the top three. MVP of the movie. I have Alvin Sargent, who wrote the screenplay, and Sam Raimi. I think the two of them working together is what creates this magic that this movie has. It's got an excellent screenplay that is perfectly executed by Sam Raimi's direction, and I feel it's hard to not give it to one of these two, and I couldn't not mention one without the other. I think you need them both, and that's why I have them both for MVP. It's a tie for me.
Yeah. I mean, those are great choices. I mean, I'm going to go Sam Raimi. I think he um, really, we've said it several times, but leaves his mark in everything he does. It's used creatively and intentionally and productively in this, and I think he made some great Spider-Man movies.
Agreed.
Yeah. Ben, I'm agreeing with you. I think the screenplay is fantastic. The pacing is on point. The themes carry very well throughout, but I think Sam Raimi really just a great job of actually getting it on film and capturing it in the way I feel like it was initially intended. So, yeah, full agreement. I think it's a dual award here.
Yeah. But guys, at the end of the day, why would you recommend someone sit down and watch Spider-Man 2 20 years later?
And it's the whole trilogy, but especially the first two, and arguably this one more than any, are just incredible films. Much more so incredible superhero films. They're both nostalgic, but it doesn't even need to be nostalgic because it holds up and plays so much today that it doesn't even. I mean, it reminds me of a time watching the films, but the film doesn't even take me anywhere. It puts me right in it in this current period just because it holds up so well. We've said a lot about theming and a lot about visuals. All of it is incredible. It holds up. Good performances, great direction. It's a great superhero movie and
What
great
about you,
film.
Will?
I mean, I might have to give Amazing Spider-Man 1 a rewatch, Ben, because I know you're very big on it.
Love it.
But to me, this is like such a amazing one superhero movie and a spectacular Spider-Man movie, an amazing Spider-Man movie, if you will. There's like no other heroes overshadowing him. It's very much Spider-Man in New York. It's got a great just actual story to it. The action scenes are good, but not overbearing. Um, and I think to anyone nowadays, the fact that I don't have to give them a TV series or three other movies to watch as a prelude to it does help out. But
Preaching to the
we've said it.
choir, man. I can't.
I know. But it's a phenomenal piece. I'm so glad I had an excuse to rewatch it. I'm probably gonna go down a hole this next month of just rewatching a bunch of old superhero movies now.
As you should. As you should. That's always a great time to spend your time. I'm in agreement with both you guys. I could not say it any better than that. I think this is a wonderful film that, even if you're not a big fan of superhero movies, I think even then still it holds up because of just the themes of it. It's a wonderful story.
Yeah, sure is. Is that all we got?
That's it, man. I'm all tapped out.
Beautiful. No issues. I think this time this might actually make it to air.
I hope so. Listen, we one day will have to do Vision Quest, and next time I'm going to be wearing the appropriate attire. I'm talking
Fair enough.
headgear. I'm talking singlet. I'm talking the whole 9 yards. The whole
I
nine
respect
yards.
that.
Look forward to it. Well, thank you everyone who's been participating and engaging with the fan votes for movies. We wanna do content that you enjoy and want to see or hear, movies you want to rewatch along with us. And in July we are doing another fan vote tournament, right, Tim?
Yeah, man. We're for sure doing Deadpool, but we also have this fan vote.
So we please participate on our social medias. We're gonna do the tournament. That the first round of the bracket is going to be Anchorman versus True Lies, and Deep Blue Sea versus Lake Placid. And the winner of those two rounds are going to face off to see which our next movie is going to be. Right?
Yep.
Yep. So please participate. Keep voting. We'll keep doing it. Thank you, Will, for joining us. It's been awesome to see you again. Awesome to talk. Hope to have you on again soon.
It's always a pleasure. You guys always pick the funnest movies for me to rewatch. Like, I just need to have you guys start sending me more invites so I stay up on watching movies on a regular basis because it's been a fantastic time.
We'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
It's fun always to have three people in there too. It kind of takes some of the pressure off having too many thoughts, and you can all bounce off each other. It's a lot of fun. But I think that does it for this week. Thank you all very much for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, thanks for listening. If you're hearing us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, let us know in the comments which Spider-Man is your favorite. What's your favorite superhero movie from the Silver era of superhero movies?
called it the Silver Age.
But for now, we'll see you next time. This has been Ben and Walker and Will. We'll see you later.
See ya.